For those who may not have an understanding of what we do at the Jewish Education Collaborative, I work at Federation, and we're really here to enhance supplemental Jewish education in our community. That is you. That's all of our part-time programs in our religious schools, investing in you as our educators and helping to support your programs to be the best that they can be and to find new, creative, exciting ways to engage our learners. This program this morning is a special partnership between the Jewish Education Collaborative and JumpSpark, our Jewish teen initiative in Atlanta. It's wonderful. We work together all the time, and this is a special opportunity to collaborate once again. So I want to say just a word about why this is so important to be providing programs like this for our community. We are offering this program free of cost to you as teachers and to your education directors. And we want to bring the best of the best to you. And that is because our programs, the learning that our students experience will only be as good as our enthusiastic educators. And we want to invest in you to be the best that you can be. So we're bringing you the best of what is out there in the field of Jewish education and today in the field of Israel education. So you'll have a chance to learn with some of the most amazing facilitators and presenters and educators in this field. And it's really intentional. I want you to know how much our community values you as teachers and as educators of the children in our community, and that this is just one of many opportunities throughout the year and things to look forward to in the future where we will continue to be investing in you and your skills and your knowledge. So we chose the topic of Israel, teaching Israel in 2021 today for several reasons. And I want to just say that we began this year back in August and through several other programs we've had in the fall, offering trainings on subjects that were, I think, very direct and clear responses to our reality of living through this pandemic. How do we skill ourselves up when it comes to digital technology and digital pedagogy and working with all kinds of new platforms to bring virtual learning to life, or focusing on mental health and those kinds of social emotional needs of our learners. So those were things that were very obvious connections to this moment in time and the needs of this moment. But we felt that in this mid-year point, it would be not only an opportunity to come back to some inspiring content and really come back to things that we want to be teaching, not just in this year, but in many years to come. And Israel is certainly one of those things that will inspire us and can relate to so many of our programs, all ages, every context in which we work and teach. And it is also just a nice escape, perhaps, from the reality of the moment. Instead of focusing on the needs of skilling up related to COVID, we always need to skill ourselves up when it comes to helping people to connect with Israel in meaningful ways. So those are some of the reasons why we chose this topic to look ahead into 2021 and really beyond when it comes to strengthening our connections with Israel. So I want to turn things over for a minute to Kelly Cohen from JumpSpark, and she'll tell you more about why Israel is such an important topic for today.
Hi, good morning, everybody. My name is Kelly Cohen. I am the director of JumpSpark, which is Atlanta's Jewish Teen Initiative, like Rabbi Perry said. And we are an innovation initiative of the Federation here, and also part of something called the Jewish Teen Education and Engagement Funder Collaborative. So locally, we serve teens, parents, and professionals, but we are also part of a 10-city collaborative across the country looking to raise Jewish teen engagement. Now, I know that many of you say, but I don't work with Jewish teens. That's not the population that I serve. But all of you and your work that you do with our younger learners are crucial in building the engagement and education pipeline that will lead to engaged teens. So part of being in the Teen Funder Collaborative, what ties the 10 cities together are 14 outcomes, 14 shared things that we are working towards. And one of those deals specifically with Israel. And I want to share that with you today and offer some thoughts that I hope can provide some framing for our learning. So the outcome that we have, the goal that we have when it comes to working with Israel, sorry, the shadows are where I am. I feel like I'm sitting in the dark. Okay, so the outcome that we have is that Jewish teens develop a positive relationship to the land, people, and state of Israel. Sounds simple enough, but I think it's actually a really complicated goal. Because the word that I think is really, that whole sentence hinges on is the word positive. And I'm not quite sure what that word means. And I want to offer a couple different thoughts. Because as educators, we need to think about what that word means to us. What does it mean to help our students develop a positive relationship to Israel? And how can we make that happen? So I know it's 2021. And when I hear the word positive right now, I think a lot about COVID testing, right? We go out, we get a test. Did you get a positive or a negative test? And so there's one way of thinking about positive. If we did a test of our students, would they come back positive for a relationship with Israel? Like, if we check in with them, would that come back? Do they have a relationship with Israel? That's one way of thinking about that word. It's a positive result. Or do we think about positive as a constructive or optimistic view about Israel, right? That's our students have warm feelings towards Israel. Maybe we want them to love Israel, right? We want them to celebrate Israel. We want them to feel a positive feeling when they think about Israel. Or do we mean positive as in confident, right? I am positive about my relationship to Israel. I am certain about what I think and what I know. And maybe I don't agree with everything Israel does, and maybe I have some struggles, but I am confident, I am positive in my relationship to Israel. So that's three different, right? Checking a box. If I test you for a relationship with Israel, do you have one? A positive relationship, warm feelings about Israel, or a positive, a confident relationship with Israel. And those are three very different definitions that would bring very different learning into our classroom. So I want you to think about, what is your definition of a positive relationship to Israel? What do you think about that when you are constructing learning for your students? So I want you to take this question into all of your sessions with you today, because everything that you are learning today is going to be tools that you are going to put in your teacher toolbox to help work on that outcome, to help secure that your students have a positive relationship to Israel, however you defined that. So I want you to go into your sessions and think, what is the definition of a positive relationship to Israel that the presenter is bringing? What is my definition, and how can I use what I am building, what I am taking from here, and put it in my teacher toolbox? So I am very excited for us to be learning together today. I am sure all of you will have a positive experience, and I look forward to hearing people reflect on their learning when we gather back together at the end of the day. So happy learning.
Thanks, Kelly. So very quickly, we're going to start those elective sessions very soon in just a few minutes, which is really the central content, the important meat of this program. But I want to just briefly introduce you to the smiling faces of our wonderful expert presenters today. So they will wave when I say their names, and so you can see who they are, and then they'll hop off to get into the other Zoom rooms, which we'll explain in just a moment. So learning with us today, we have Sasha Kopp from the Jewish Education Project in New York. There she is. Dan Tater from the iCenter in Chicago. Hi. Rabbi Ellen Nemhauser here in Atlanta, and also Rich Walter here in Atlanta, and Avi Posen coming to us from Israel. There's Avi. So wonderful. I didn't miss anyone, did I? Oh, Eli Sperling, excuse me, he's not in the top of my screen. And Eli also coming from Atlanta. And or are you in North Carolina at the moment? North Carolina? No, you're in Atlanta. So we have these wonderful presenters, and you'll have a chance to meet them in the sessions. and they're going to be going off into their other Zoom rooms, and you'll meet them there in just a moment. So the way that this is going to work is you will have 2 elective sessions, and Annie Fortnow is going to explain how that's going to work. But just a quick note, you're going to go into your first session. You'll have a quick bio break in between the first elective and the second, and then you'll be going directly to your second elective session. These are very quick. These are 35-minute sessions, so it's going to be a blast of fun learning and engagement. And then at the end, after our second elective, everyone is going to be coming back here to this main Zoom room. So Annie, how is this going to work?
Hi, everyone. My name is Annie. I also work for JumpSpark. So what's going to happen is I'm about to put a link into the chat that has all of the links for all of the sessions today and the session that you're assigned to. So what you're going to do is click on this link that I just put into the chat. You'll find your name underneath one of the sessions that you are assigned to for today that you signed up for, and then you'll see that it's linked at the top of the page. You click on that link to enter into your session. So you can go ahead, click on that link, leave this Zoom room, and then click on the session that you are assigned to. And then after the bio break, you'll see lower down on the spreadsheet, there is another session that you'll be assigned to as well. And then we'll return back here at the main room to the main room at the end of the call.
Also, if your name is on there, please go to the elective that you chose, that you where you see your name. And if you did not end up choosing your elective in advance, then click on the room that you are choosing this morning.
We're supposed to be back in this room, correct?
That's right. You're in the right place. Everyone's coming back to this Zoom room. Feel free to just stretch if you need to. Do a little stand up, stretch your arms and legs as we get back together. Great. Well, as we may get a few more people continuing to join us, but welcome back. I hope you had some great learning in your 2 elective sessions today. Just as a way of taking the temperature on your learning, if you learned one new thing about connecting to Israel in your sessions, let's see some jazz hands. If you learned one new thing about connecting to Israel, some jazz hands, lots of jazz hands. Great, great. And now I'm curious if you could put into the chat, how would you describe something that you just took from your one of your 2 sessions in one word? What is one word to describe something you're gleaning? Just throw that into the chat. Great. Amazing. Games, resources, music, art, food. Mimuna, yeah. Lots of resources. Wonderful, wonderful. Well, we hope there are lots of practical applications that you will be taking with you. Feel free to keep putting those in the chat. Lots of things to be taking away today. So what we're going to do next is actually think about more processing of what you've learned and an opportunity to really share with each other. So yes, let's not forget that our Madrachim have also been learning in a parallel session. And they're also getting some great connections to Israel and some ideas to bring back to your classrooms. So what we're going to do next, we're calling a flash breakout session. And it's flash because it's only going to be 15 minutes. You're going to be put into random breakouts which with people from, you know, everybody here, so different programs, different grade levels, and I will put some questions into the chat for your discussion. 3 different questions, and I'm going to put those in now, and you should be able to still see those in the chat when you get into your groups. So hold on just a second. Here they come. So considering the grade levels you teach, what could you take from your electives to apply with your students? What have you learned today that could help foster that positive relationship with Israel? And do you personally have any favorite ways of fostering student connections to Israel that you could share with your small group? So again, this is a chance to brainstorm together, to utilize the opportunity to share wisdom with each other, because you have a lot of insight and experience yourself to share. And I just want to encourage you to really think about the ages and grade levels of the students that you teach. So Annie is going to send us into breakout rooms, and you'll be there for just 15 minutes. Have fun. Use the time wisely. We have just a few minutes, and we'll wrap up, but it looks like we are still waiting for a few people to come back. Here they come. Great, great. It is great to have everybody back here together. I hope you had some great brainstorming and a chance to connect with other teachers in the community. That is another benefit of a program like this, is feeling a sense of connection and community with all of the Jewish educators in Atlanta. And we have a lot to learn from each other and offer to each other. So a wonderful resource right here in front of us. Is Kelly? Yes, Kelly is still here. I wanted to ask Kelly for just a minute if you wanted to share just a quick synopsis of what happened with our Madrachim.
Yeah, so I spent the morning with our Madrachim. We had 30 Madrachim from across the community join us throughout the morning in 2 different groups. So we had 12 in the first group and 18 in the second group. And we were learning with Shiraz, one of our Shinshanim here in Atlanta. And we really had 2 goals. One was to connect the teens to Shiraz. She's 18. She is a teen like them. And to have a connection to an Israeli. She gave them her phone number, said, please text me with any questions that you have. And we did a lot of really fun games and thought about how they can use Zoom and learning tools creatively for bringing Israel into the classroom. So if any of you out there are teachers who work with Madrachim, you can ask your Madrich or Madricha if they were here this morning, maybe you know, and I think that they would be happy to bring some of those new tools, tricks, games, ideas into your classrooms. And one of the things we really talked about was coming with enthusiasm and creativity, and how much our students appreciate when we bring that regardless of the topic. So it was really exciting, and I'm so glad that we were able to include our Madrachim in this day of learning, because they are a crucial part of the classroom experience and creating connections with our students. So please, they have learned new resources, so please use them, reach out, and hopefully they can bring those resources into all of your classrooms.
Thank you, Kelly, and thank you, Shiraz, as well. So as we wrap up, I want to ask a couple of questions and ask you to respond in the chat. So based on everything we've talked about today, but also just where you're coming from personally, why is teaching Israel in 2021 and beyond important to you? Go ahead and throw your responses into the chat. Lots of connection. Israel is our homeland. Beautiful. Beautiful. So lots of reasons why this is important, and important for us to deepen our own knowledge and enhance our skills to help our students to connect. Continue to think about that. That's wonderful. Keep putting those into the chat. We should all have that sense of connection. Another question I want to ask you to think about is, what are you still thinking about from today's program? What is lingering in your mind, a question or a thought? What are you still thinking about today? Oh, how does one paint with spices? I'm curious about that. Interesting, yes, moving away from a vacation destination to self-identity and connection, beautiful. Ways to weave Israel throughout the curriculum. Beautiful. Well, I hope there continues to be lots of food for thought. Let me just tell you a few things that you can expect after this program concludes. One is you will all be receiving a follow-up email that will include some additional resources from some of our presenters today. They've shared a lot of tools and resources and want to make sure that everyone has access to them, whether you were able to attend those electives or not. So you'll have some resources sent to you. In that same email, we'll send you an evaluation so you can share some of your thoughts about this experience today. And that's always important because we want to make these experiences better in the future, the best they can be for you. And also in that spirit of collaboration and wanting to encourage brainstorming and connection in the community, I'm going to share a roster of participating teachers by grade level. So if you want to continue that conversation to say, second grade teachers, what are you thinking about in teaching Israel or other ways to connect with each other? I'll share that roster based on grade level so you can continue the conversation. A big thank you to all of our presenters. You are wonderful today, and we're so grateful for the opportunity to learn with you. A big thank you to JumpSpark and Annie Fortnell for being our tech master today. And it's been a really great time to be with you. So look in your email for follow-ups and have a great rest of your day.
And a big thank you to you, Rabbi Perry. Thank you.
Thank you, Ray.